Thou shalt not use the Lord's name in vain. And people think that means don't swear or curse, but that isn't what it means.
What's up, everybody? Today I'm reacting to Jordan Peterson's take on taking the Lord's name in vain, looking at it from a psychoanalytic standpoint. Let's take a look.
I spent some time on the book of Exodus for obvious reasons, and there's a commandment in there that people misapprehend. So I think it's the third commandment, thou shalt not use the Lord's name in vain. And people think that means don't swear or curse, and it sort of means that. There's a peripheral meaning that is associated with that casual use of the sacred, let's say. But that isn't what it means. It means don't claim divine virtue when you're working for your own purposes.
Yeah, so immediately he hits on something that's true. It's not just saying, oh my God, and things like that. It's misrepresenting God. And that's why when you curse and use God's name to curse, you're misrepresenting him because you're putting his name where usually there would go a sign of panic or a sign of just general expletive. And that's not appropriate. He goes on to say something really great, so stick with it.
And the same thing happens in the gospel account, say, because the Pharisees, who are Christ's primary enemy, are the people he accuses of utilizing the sacred, the deepest, so you could say compassion even, given its proper place, for their own self-aggrandizement.
It is so incredibly wicked to use his authority to mask your own intent. To say, I am a man of God, I am in the right because God says this, but actually you are representing your own selfish ways, which inevitably are going to be corrupted, even if you believe you have somehow mustered up a form of goodness yourself. The source of goodness is always God, so it's not enough to just use his name and then try and manufacture your own. You will end up harming people. That is a fact that we've seen throughout history. And it's what we're seeing right now with the sort of virtue signaling that's very popular here in the West. As long as I can make myself look like a good person, I can use that to tear good people down, to tear down the innocent. And that's exactly what the Pharisees did with Jesus. I'm going to tear my robes because of what he just said. It was so crazy and insane. Look how godly I am. Let's put him on the cross.
They're praying in public. They're trying to occupy the best seats in the marketplace. They want the best seats in the synagogues, etc. That's the accusation. And so that virtue signaling, it's not merely, it's an expression of an unbelievably deep and ignorant narcissism, right? It's part of the victim-victimizer narrative, first of all, which explains all of history with no cognitive effort. And then it's these performative gestures that make you morally virtuous.
The problem with the victim-victimizer mentality is it completely looks at human history incorrectly. Human history is not one group of people sinning against another, one being the victim and one being the victimizer. Human history is us all sinning, all having a problem with sin, sinning against one another, but most of all, sinning against God and God himself having to take the punishment. No matter how you spin it, we are not victims in this world, and it is to take his name in vain to paint us as victims, especially if we're going to use it to paint others as victimizers, or even worse, God as a victimizer. We are the villains, people. Look, if you read the Gospels, there's a guy called Barabbas who's actually convicted of murder, and Jesus has done nothing wrong, and Pilate knows this, but the people want Barabbas. We are Barabbas. We are the murderer. We are not the victim of this situation we find ourselves in as humanity. No, we are the perpetrators of evil. And virtue signaling is, in a way, using God's name in vain because it's taking his righteousness, stealing it, and then wearing it like a robe, polishing the outside of the cup whilst allowing the inside of the cup to be filthy as ever. Give God the glory, fess up to your sins, do not take his name in vain, and do not ever identify as the victim.